My sister posted, "Finally bought my dream home with photos of my house." I commented, "Congrats." She had no idea I'd never transferred the deed. When she tried to refinance and the bank said, "Ma'am, you're not the owner," she called panicked. I said, "Dreams come true when you ask permission," and hung up. 83 missed calls from Mom. My sister announced she'd finally bought her dream home with a photo tour of my house. Front porch, kitchen island, the little cracked tile by the pantry. I kept meaning to replace all of it. Posted like a victory lap. Her friends filled the comments with hearts. "And so proud of you." I typed, "Congrats," and hit send before my coffee cooled. She had no idea the deed was still in my name. 2 days later, I was in a Monday stand-up call when my phone started vibrating so hard it walked across my desk. Her name flashed 3 times, then my mom's, then my sister again. I muted my mic and answered on the 4th call. "Jason," my sister said breathless. "You need to fix something right now." "What happened?" I asked, still staring at my project timeline like it could keep me calm by force. "I went to refinance," she said. "Rates dropped. I'm trying to be responsible." "And the bank," her voice jumped an octave. "The bank said, I'm not the owner. They said, 'Ma'am, you're not on the deed.'" There was a pause where I could hear her swallowing panic. "I don't understand," she whispered like the words were too heavy to say out loud. "I live here. It's my house." I looked at the little sticky note on my monitor that said, "Stay factual." I'd written it for meetings with difficult clients. I didn't realize I'd need it for my own family. "It's not your house," I said quietly. "It's mine." "No," she snapped. "No, that's not funny. You said I said you could live there." I replied. "I never said I transferred ownership." She started talking fast like speed could change legal reality. "You can't do this to me. I already told everyone. I posted it. I have contractors scheduled. I'm trying to consolidate debt. Mom said you wouldn't. Dreams come true when you ask permission," I said. And I hated how calm my voice sounded, like it was someone else speaking through me. Then I ended the call. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. When I checked my phone later, there were 83 missed calls from my mom. To understand how we got here, you have to go back years to the first time my family decided my stability was something they could borrow without asking. I'm Jason, 41, project manager for a construction tech company outside Raleigh. I'm not flashy. I've never been. I like clean spreadsheets, clean timelines, and payments that clear on time. My salary is $118,000 a year. After taxes, insurance, and my 401k, I take home about $6,100 a month. That number is burned into my brain because I built my life around it. My sister Rachel is 36. She's charming in the way that makes strangers want to help her. She laughs easily. She cries easily, too, especially when consequences show up. Growing up, Rachel was the creative one. I was the responsible one. That didn't sound like a problem when we were kids. It became a problem when we were adults. When our dad died, my mom got the life insurance payout, $220,000. Enough to pay off her small house and set aside a cushion. She told everyone she was fine, but she also started keeping a running list of what everyone owed her emotionally. Rachel moved back home at 28 for a few months. Those few months became 5 years. I didn't live there. I had my own apartment, my own bills, and a steady habit of showing up whenever I was asked. When my mom needed her gutters replaced, I paid the $860 invoice because I didn't want her up on a ladder. When Rachel needed her car fixed, I put $1,400 on my credit card because she said she couldn't get to interviews without it, just until she gets on her feet. My mom would say, when I got promoted and started earning real money, the ask got bigger. Rachel's first apartment deposit was $1,800. I paid it. When she decided she wanted to start an online boutique, she needed inventory. That was $3,200. I paid it. When the boutique fizzled out, she needed a bridge to cover rent. That was $900 1 month, then $900 again. Then a string of "I'll pay you Friday" texts that never ended with an actual payment. Every time I hesitated, my mom would say, "Jason, she's your sister." And every time I gave in, I told myself I was buying peace. The house was supposed to be a reward. I'd been saving since my late 20s. No expensive vacations, no brand new cars. I drove a paid-off Civic until it started making a noise that sounded like a threat. I put $500 into savings every month, even when it meant saying no to things I wanted. In 2020, I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath place in a quiet neighborhood. $342,000 purchase price. I put $68,400 down. My mortgage payment was $1,986 a month plus $310 in property taxes and $140 for insurance. It was the biggest responsibility of my life, and it felt like mine. A year later, Rachel's life fell apart. According to my mom, Rachel had been dating a guy who promised her big plans and delivered nothing. When he left, she had nowhere to go because she'd stopped paying rent months earlier, convinced she could talk her landlord into waiting. She called me crying at 11:47 p.m. "I'm going to be homeless," she said. "Please, I just need a place for a little while." I should have said no. I didn't. I let her move into my house while I stayed in my spare room like a guest in my own life. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself it was family. I told myself I could handle discomfort for a few months. At first, she was grateful. She bought groceries. She cleaned the kitchen once. She hugged me and said, "I don't know what I'd do without you." 2 weeks later, she started calling the house ours. A month later, she started calling it mine. She got mail delivered there. She updated her driver's license address. She started making little changes without asking. One Saturday, I came home with paint samples for my office, and she was in the living room with a roll of wallpaper. "Oh," I said, "what's that?" "It's for the accent wall," she replied like the decision was a settled thing. "The living room is boring. I didn't ask for an accent wall." She sighed. "Jason, it'll look nicer. You never decorate." "I don't want wallpaper." "Why are you always so intense?" she asked, already peeling back the paper like my answer didn't matter. That became the pattern. Not yelling, not drama, just quiet, constant override. My mom loved it. "She's making it a home." Mom said over the phone. "It's good for her." "It's my home," I reminded her. "She's your sister," Mom replied. Like that was the same thing. Rachel's financial contribution shrank over time. It always did. At first, she offered $600 a month toward utilities and a little rent. It lasted 3 months. Then it became $300. Then it became, "I bought groceries, that counts." Then it became nothing. When I brought it up, she'd look wounded. "You want to charge your own sister rent?" She'd say, "That's cold." I wasn't trying to profit. I was trying to keep my budget from bleeding. Electricity averaged $180 a month, with her constantly running the dryer. Water jumped from $55 to $120. Internet was $79. My grocery bill doubled because she ate like someone who never planned meals, just reacted to hunger. Then came the bigger costs, the ones you can't ignore. The HVAC needed repairs, $2,480. The roof had a leak, $1,900. The dishwasher stopped draining, $640. Rachel would nod sympathetically, then say, "Ugh, home ownership is so stressful," like it was her stress to claim. If I sounded annoyed, my mom would get involved. "Rachel is trying," she'd insist. "You always act like she's doing it on purpose." "Mom, she posted a picture of my backyard last week and called it her sanctuary." I said once. "Well, maybe you should be happy she's finally stable," Mom replied. That word again, stable. As if my stability wasn't something I earned, but something that simply existed for other people to lean on. The moment the lines really blurred was the plan. It started as a casual conversation at my mom's kitchen table, the place where most family decisions got made without me. Rachel was scrolling through her phone, looking at houses, even though she was already living in one. "I just want something that's mine," she said, her voice soft. Mom reached over and squeezed her hand. "You deserve that." Rachel looked at me. "I mean, this house, it's basically mine, right? I've put work into it." I stared at her. "It's not basically yours. It's mine." Mom frowned like I'd insulted her. Jason, she said, you're single. You don't need a 3-bedroom house. Rachel needs stability. I felt something tighten in my chest. I bought it. I said, I pay for it. And you're good at that. Mom replied like she was complimenting me. You're good at carrying things. Rachel's eyes got bright, hopeful. Maybe you could just transfer it to me, she said. Eventually. Not right away. Just when it makes sense. When does it make sense? I asked. Soon, Mom said quickly. When Rachel is back on her feet. Rachel nodded like it was already decided. I'll make the payments. I can handle it. I just need a chance. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I just sat there hearing the way they were talking about my house like it was a family asset we were assigning, not a contract I signed alone. I'm not transferring the deed, I said. Not now. Mom's face hardened. Why are you so difficult? I'm not difficult, I said. I'm being careful. Rachel's smile vanished. So, you don't trust me? It's not about trust, I replied. But it was about the fact that I'd never seen her carry a burden for longer than it took to get bored. They didn't let it go. They just changed tactics. Rachel started calling the house her dream home in casual conversation. Mom started referring to it as Rachel's place when talking to relatives. My aunt congratulated Rachel at Thanksgiving for becoming a homeowner, and Rachel didn't correct her. Each time it happened, I felt smaller in my own life, like my name was being erased from my own paperwork. I should have drawn a hard line then. I didn't. I thought if I stayed calm, if I stayed reasonable, the truth would eventually speak for itself. I didn't realize my family wasn't confused. They were practicing. The post was what flipped the switch. I wasn't even looking for it. A coworker mentioned it casually during lunch. Hey, he said, chewing slowly. Isn't that your kitchen? He turned his phone toward me. There it was, Rachel, smiling in my doorway, holding a big cardboard key like someone had handed her a prize. The caption said she'd worked so hard and finally made it. The photos were a full tour: my living room, my backyard, the corner of a hallway where I'd measured the wall for a bookshelf. The comments were full of applause. You deserve this. So inspiring homeowner vibes. Rachel replied to almost everyone with heart emojis. And thank you. My hands went cold. Not from anger, from clarity. Because it wasn't just a lie. It was a public claim, a story she was building in front of witnesses. I clicked her profile. More posts, more hints, making upgrades to my place. Feeling grateful for my home. Can't wait to refinance and make it really mine. That last line made my stomach drop. Refinance. I didn't respond with a paragraph. I didn't start a family group chat war. I didn't type out a lecture. I commented, congrats. Because part of me was still hoping she'd see it and realize I saw her. I wanted her to stop on her own. I wanted a peaceful ending. Then I opened my laptop. I pulled up every document related to the house, the closing paperwork, the deed, the mortgage statement, the insurance policy, the property tax records. Everything was in my name, exactly as it should be. I checked my bank account. The autopay had been running like clockwork. $1,986 on the first of every month. The utility bills were in my name, too, because I'd never moved them over, not fully trusting she'd pay them. Even the home warranty was on my card. Then I called my mortgage seerer, not to threaten anything, but to understand. The representative confirmed what I already knew. No one can refinance without being on the deed, she said. And if someone attempts it, we can note the account, but ownership is clear. After that, I called an attorney. Not to get her, not to punish her, but to protect myself from the kind of mess families create when they decide paperwork is optional. The attorney asked simple questions. Is she paying rent? No. Is there a written lease? No. Has she been there more than a year? Yes. Then you need to treat this like a tenny, he said. If you want her out, you do it legally. If you want her paying rent, you put it in writing. Either way, you need a plan. A plan. That word was usually something I used for product launches, not my own family, but I wrote one anyway. I drafted a formal lease with a month-to-month term. Fair rent for the area was $2,150, but I set it at $1,200 because I wasn't trying to squeeze her. I just wanted her to participate in reality. I built it like a project schedule. Start date, payment date, late fee, utility responsibilities, maintenance boundaries, no renovations without written approval. I also drafted a notice, not an eviction threat. A simple written notice that if she didn't sign the lease and start paying, she'd need to move out within 60 days. The hardest part wasn't the paperwork. It was the feeling in my chest when I printed it. Guilt rose fast, like my body was trained to protect my family from discomfort. Then another feeling showed up under it. Relief. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. I backed everything up. Screenshots of her posts. Texts where she called it her house. Messages from my mom referring to it as Rachel's place. I saved them in a folder labeled house. The same way I'd label a folder at work. Clean, clear, not emotional. That night, Rachel came home humming, swinging a bag of takeout like she'd had a good day. "Hey," she said brightly. "Did you see my post?" "Yes," I replied. She grinned. "It's blowing up. People are so supportive." I nodded slowly. "We need to talk." Her smile slipped. "About what?" I held my voice steady. "About the house. About what you're telling people. About what you're planning with the bank." She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Jason, relax," she said. "It's social media." "It's not just social media." I replied. "It's my name on the deed." She waved her hand. "We're family. It's basically mine." That old sentence delivered like a shrug. Something inside me clicked into place, so quietly she didn't notice. I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to understand. I went back to my room, opened my laptop again, and scheduled a meeting. Not with a client, with my family. We met at my mom's house on a Saturday afternoon, the kind of day she liked because it felt normal. The table was set. Coffee was poured. The TV was off, which meant she wanted control of the room. Rachel arrived first, confident, wearing a new sweater like she dressed for her own success. Mom hugged her tight. "My homeowner," she said, loud enough for me to hear. Rachel smirked at me as I walked in. I sat down without comment and put a folder on the table. Mom's eyes narrowed immediately. "What is that?" "Documents," I said. Rachel laughed light and dismissive. "Oh my God, Jason. Are you seriously bringing paperwork to a family talk?" "Yes," I replied. "Because this isn't a vibe. It's a house." Mom frowned. "Why are you making this so formal?" I took a breath. "Because Rachel is telling people she owns my home. She's trying to refinance a house she doesn't own." Rachel's face flashed with irritation. "I wasn't trying to refinance behind her back. I was just exploring options." "You told people you bought it," I said. "So what?" She snapped. "It's not hurting anyone. It's hurting me," I replied, still calm. "It's creating a story that isn't true, and it's setting me up for a fight later when you realize reality doesn't match your posts." Mom leaned forward. "Jason, you're overreacting. She lives there. She deserves a break." "I gave her a break," I said, "for 18 months. Rachel crossed her arms. "You act like you've been doing me this huge favor. I've been improving that house." "You put wallpaper on one wall after I said no," I replied. "That's not equity." Rachel's cheeks flushed. "Wow." Mom slapped her hand on the table. "Enough. Don't talk to your sister like that." I opened the folder and slid the first paper across the table. "This is the deed," I said. "My name. Only my name." Rachel didn't pick it up. She stared at it like it was an insult. Mom's voice got sharp. "We know it's in your name. That's what we're trying to fix." I looked at her. "It's not something that needs fixing." Rachel leaned forward, eyes bright with anger now. "So what? You're just going to hold it over my head forever?" "No," I said. "I'm going to set terms." I slid the lease across next. Rachel's mouth fell open. "You're charging me rent." "It's a month-to-month lease," I replied. $1, $200 a month. Utilities transferred into your name within 30 days. No renovations without approval. Mom looked like I dropped something dirty on her table. "This is cruel," she said. "It's normal," I replied. "Adults pay for housing." Rachel's voice rose. "I can't afford that." "You can't," I said. You just don't want to. Her eyes widened. Excuse me. I've seen your spending, I said, and I kept it factual, not mocking. You ordered $46 of delivery 3 nights last week. You paid $210 for concert tickets. I'm not judging you. I'm saying if you can budget for those things, you can budget for housing. Mom pointed at me like I was the problem. You've always been this way. Cold. Controlling. I swallowed. That word controlling had been thrown at me every time I asked for basic fairness. I'm not controlling, I said. I'm protecting myself. Rachel grabbed her phone and shoved it toward me. Look at all these people. They think I earned this. They're happy for me. Do you want to embarrass me? I didn't even glance at the screen. This isn't about embarrassment, I said. It's about honesty and responsibility. She stared at me like she couldn't find the lever that usually moved me. Then she changed tactics, voice softening. Jason, she said, I thought you loved me. I thought you wanted me to be okay. I do, I replied. That's why I'm doing this now, while we can still handle it calmly. Mom shook her head, eyes wet. How can you do this to your own mother? Do you want me worrying about Rachel? I kept my hands flat on the table. You can worry if you want, but you can't solve it with my mortgage. Rachel's voice snapped back to angry. So, what happens if I don't sign? I slid the notice across, slow and steady. Then you have 60 days to move out, I said. Legally, peacefully. I'm not changing the locks. I'm not throwing your things outside. I'm giving you time. Rachel stared at the paper like it was a cliff edge. You wouldn't, she whispered. I will, I replied. Because I can't live like this anymore. That's when my mom's phone buzzed. She looked down and her face tightened. It's your aunt, she said. She saw Rachel's post and wants to know when she can come see the house. Rachel's eyes flicked to me, almost pleading now, like she wanted me to save her from the lie she'd built. I didn't rescue her. I didn't attack her either. I stood up and gathered the folder. You can tell her whatever you want, I said. But I'm done pretending. Rachel jumped up, too. You're ruining my life. I met her eyes. No, I'm handing it back to you. Mom stood, voice shaking. Jason, don't walk out. We're family. I paused at the doorway. I am family, I said. That's why I'm being honest. The lease is fair. The timeline is fair. The boundary is firm. Then I left, got in my car, and drove back to my house. My house. The calls came in waves after that. Rachel texted first, angry paragraphs that swung between blame and pleading. My mom left voicemails that started with sighs and ended with guilt. I didn't respond immediately. I waited until my nervous system settled, then answered once, clearly in writing. The lease stands 60-day stance. I'm willing to help you find an apartment. I'm not transferring the deed. That was it. A week later, Rachel showed up at the house with my mom. They did knock politely. They knocked like they owned the place. When I opened the door, Rachel held up her phone. Look, she said, people are asking questions now. They're saying I'm lying. I nodded, then tell the truth. Mom's face tightened. Jason, she's suffering. I'm not trying to make her suffer, I said. I'm trying to stop the slow bleed that's been happening for years. Rachel's voice cracked. Where am I supposed to go? You're supposed to go where adults go when they need housing, I said gently. You look, you apply, you budget, you sign your own lease. Mom stepped forward. You could just make this easy. Just sign it over. Let her refinance. Let her handle it. I shook my head. No. Rachel stared past me into the living room like she was seeing the house differently now, not as a trophy, as a cost. She didn't sign the lease, not because it was unfair, but because signing would mean admitting the truth. Instead, she spent the next month trying to pressure me into changing my mind. She told relatives I was holding her hostage. She told friends I was jealous. She told my mom I was punishing her. I didn't argue in group chats. I didn't defend myself on social media. I kept doing the boring, solid things. I paid my mortgage. I saved receipts. I documented every conversation. On day 45, my attorney sent a formal letter reminding her of the 60-day timeline. Clear, neutral language. No threats beyond what the law already allowed, just facts. That letter. Changed the atmosphere. 2 weeks later, Rachel packed. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. She moved boxes into a friend's SUV. My mom stood in the driveway, wiping her eyes. Rachel wouldn't look at me. Before she left, she turned once and said, "I hope you're happy." I took a breath and answered honestly. "I'm not happy about this," I said. "I'm relieved I'm finally being honest." She left without replying. Afterward, my house sounded different. No heavy footsteps at midnight, no slammed cabinets, no constant background tension, like the air itself was waiting for a fight. I changed the locks, not out of spite, but out of standard practice. I updated my security system code. I transferred all the utility accounts into my own name again and set up alerts for any changes. My mom didn't speak to me for a month. Then she sent a short text. "I miss you." I replied, "I miss you too. I can meet for coffee." She showed up, guarded, like she expected me to attack her. I didn't. I told her I love you. I'm not funding Rachel's life. Those two things can both be true. She didn't like it, but she heard it. Rachel kept her distance. Occasionally, she'd send a message that sounded like it was written with someone watching over her shoulder. "Hope you're doing well." I responded politely. Months passed. The story died down. People found new things to post about. Rachel stopped calling my house her dream home because she no longer had photos that matched the claim. I started sleeping better. I started cooking again without rushing. I finally replaced the cracked tile by the pantry. I painted my office the color I'd wanted before I started negotiating my own life. It wasn't a victory. It was a correction. And the correction taught me something simple. If you don't protect your name on the paperwork, someone else will use your stability as their story. What this story teaches us is that family narratives can snowball into real financial risk when no one respects paperwork and boundaries. First, document early. Save screenshots of posts/X's keep mortgage and utility records and reply once in writing with clear terms. Second, put housing in writing. A signed month-to-month lease with a deadline like $1,200 in 60 days prevents "it's basically mine" from becoming a legal mess. What's the lesson you're taking from this one? And would you have set the lease term sooner